Hello, my friends. I hope that you are all doing well. So I am in my screened-in porch that I repainted and kind of decorated last year. This is the first time I've been able to come out this year because it's like almost 85 degrees today. It is so gorgeous. It might be a little bit windy, so I apologize for that, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to make use of this today because it's so nice out. So that's my backyard. I have woods. The trees don't have anything growing on them yet, and it's probably a little too bright to see too much, but that's my backyard. So I am very blessed to live where I live and have nature all around me. Daniel 7, the night visions. This is one of my favorite chapters in the book of Daniel as far as regards the understanding that we can get about Revelation and the end times and how things fit together. A little bit windy. Wait till the wind dies down a little bit, because I have no idea what you can hear and what you can't. The book of Daniel is a book of prophecy. It is the last of the major prophets. There are major and minor prophets. For those of you who don't know, the book, the Old Testament, is divided into different sections where you have history. Well, you have the law, and then you have history, and then you have poetry, and then you have major and minor prophets. If I missed one, sorry, but I believe there's 5 sections to the Old Testament. The major prophets are your big books: Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Daniel is the final of the major prophets, and then the rest of the Old Testament from there is minor prophets. Being a major prophet, you would expect that Daniel is going to have a significant amount of information regarding the prophecy, the end times. The book of Revelation being the final book of prophecy, you're going to see it tie into the major prophets substantially. Daniel 7 is the first chapter in this book, aside from Daniel 2, where we were introduced to the statue and what will wind up destroying the statue. Daniel 2, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that he was very desirous of someone to be able to interpret for him. It was a statue detailing 4 kingdoms, and that at the end of the time period allotted for said kingdoms, there would be a stone that was cut without hands the size of a mountain that would destroy the statue and would set up its own everlasting kingdom, which is a reference to Jesus and his destroying the kingdoms that came before and replacing them with his own, which will wind up being an everlasting kingdom on earth for 1,000 years and then into eternity. So it will be an everlasting kingdom. There will be no other king after him. So in Daniel 2, the head of gold represented Babylon, who the king was Nebuchadnezzar at that time that the vision was given. And then you have a chest and arms of silver, which represent the Medo-Persian Empire that would come next, which Darius, who we were introduced to beginning in Daniel 4, Daniel 5. Darius was the king of the Medes, Cyrus the king of the Persians. We haven't really been introduced to Cyrus too much. I don't think we will be introduced to him much more, but we may. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then the belly and thighs of brass represent the Grecian kingdom, the Greeks empire, which we will be discussing in the next chapter, specifically in Daniel 8. And then the legs, and which would be like knees down, because if the thighs are of brass, then the legs being of iron, legs and feet would be like from the knees down. Iron mixed with miry clay. And that's where you also have your 10 toes. So that's the introduction that we were given to the kingdoms that would exist leading all the way into the very end times, because the one that exists when Jesus comes back, the stone which is cut without hands, I mean it's natural in its element, it destroys, decimates, like creates chaff, and the wind that creates chaff, like the bad wheat when they're threshing the wheat, the chaff, which is the leftover crud, the wind carries it away from the threshing floor. And that's what it describes the decimation of this statue as simply the leftover crud that the wind will carry away into non-existence after Jesus comes back and destroys these. Now, there is, and I'm going to have, because there's going to be a little bit of explanation that I may leave out of this video for the purpose of making it its own video. And part of that will be a discussion involving Rome. I have not and will not be, in large part, discussing Rome, because that's not what these are about. There is a great misconception out there that the legs of iron are Rome, and that the feet are the feet of iron and miry clay are a revived Roman Empire. That cannot be true. And I say that because there are 4 empires mentioned, not 5. Not 5. In order to have a Roman Empire, and thus a revived Roman Empire, you would need 5 empires mentioned: Babylon, Medo-Persian, Greece, Rome, revived Rome. You don't have Rome and revived Rome. You have 4. This is going to be brought into significantly more clarity in Daniel 7 and the night visions, where you are introduced only to 4 beasts, which represent the 4 empires Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about in his statue. The 4 beasts: the lion, Babylon, head of gold; bear, Medo-Persian, chest and arms of silver; Greece, the leopard, the chest and, the belly and thighs of brass; and finally the 4th beast, which is diverse from the other 3, dreadful, break in pieces, devours, stamp the residue, runs rampant all over, treads the saints, tramples them, given great authority to do all this. This is the 4th beast. This is the 4th of the kingdoms mentioned in the statue, which is the legs and feet of iron and mixed with miry clay. There are not 5 beasts. There are not 5 kingdoms in Nebuchadnezzar's statue. There are 4 beasts to correlate to the 4 kingdoms in Nebuchadnezzar's statue. I don't know where this Rome idea came from. I do know that it has caused many problems, even to this day, where people think that Babylon in the end times is Rome, because the early church fathers thought Babylon was Rome because Rome was the governing empire at that time. And we have a huge propensity to overlay prophecy with what we see in the current present day and age, just like they did back then. So because the early church fathers thought the end time centered around the empire that was the governing empire at that time, we now have this interpretation that, it must be Rome because that's what they thought back then, because the Roman Empire was ruling everything. No. I'm going to be doing a separate video about this, because we're going to be getting into some heavy prophetic imagery based chapters. Starts in chapter 7, specifically in chapter 8 in the book of Daniel. And it's also, I believe, going to factor into chapter 11. So this needs to be a whole topic on its own. And Revelation 13 and 17 are going to play into this also, because it gives you a number of beasts, a number of kingdoms, a number of kings. So there's a lot of overlap and ties into each other in these chapters in the book of Daniel. Not so much chapter 7, but a little bit. So I want to have this conversation, and I really do want to involve Rome in this conversation, but I'm not going to do it as part of going through specific chapters in Daniel. I'm going to do a separate video that's going to add additional clarification to this conversation. For the purpose of this video, It is imperative that we understand that the 4 kingdoms in Nebuchadnezzar's statue and the 4 beasts in Daniel's night visions are the same. Rome is nowhere in there. Daniel 7:1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. So we're kind of backtracking here because in Daniel 4, that's when Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon, was turned into a wild beast for 7 seasons, 7 years. Obviously, someone would have taken his place, which we infer was Belshazzar, his son, because that's who was king in Daniel 5. Belshazzar was the one who was deposed by the Medes and Persians when Darius the Mede came and overthrew him. So we're backtracking a little bit to a point in time where Babylon was still ruling, post Nebuchadnezzar, during Belshazzar's reign, pre-Medo-Persian takeover. It's important to understand that there is this, I believe, and this is just my own thought, but I believe why we're backtracking here is to help us understand that there is a link between the night visions given during the Babylonian reign and the statue of Nebuchadnezzar also given during the Babylonian reign, to help us understand that these two correlate. I could be wrong. That's just what I observe of this, is to place both sets of visions and dreams in the same empire to help you understand that there is a 1-to-1 equality, 1-to-1 ratio. There's 4 beasts and there's 4 kingdoms. So the night visions were given during the same time period to help us understand this. If you start giving night visions of 4 things at a different starting point, then you might think they correlate to something else. But if you have a same starting point in the same empire to have 4 different things, then you know that there's ties between them. So this is why I believe we're backtracking now to introduce these things. And then in the next chapter, you're going to learn about, in the previous chapters, we've learned about the move from Babylon to Medo-Persia. In the next chapter, in Daniel 8, we're going to learn about the move from Medo-Persia to Greece, which is the third of 4, the third of 4 beasts and the third of 4 kingdoms. The 4th one, we will not be around for. Yay. Daniel 7:1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. So this likely would have been while Nebuchadnezzar was doing his 7 seasons as a wild beast under the sky. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. The 4 great beasts, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Now we have a tie into the book of Revelation. How we know that the 4th and final beast is something that we won't be around for, because he's linking it to the book of Revelation right now. 4 beasts came up out of the sea. What do we know about the beast in the end times, the one that we won't be around for? Revelation 13:1, and I stood upon the sand of a sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Okay, so we know that at least one of the beasts that's going to be described is something we will not be around for, because it puts it at the midpoint of the week in Revelation. We are going to be gone by then. So you have 4 beasts. They all come up out of the sea, and they're diverse from one another. The last of which is mentioned in Revelation 13 as a beast coming up out of the sea. Okay, so if you have 4, and one is for a time period in the future during the 70th week that we won't be here for, and you have 3 other ones that we've already learned about, Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece, Rome isn't in there. It's not. Continuing along. I'll reread Daniel 7:3. 4 beasts, 4 great beasts, came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Babylon. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Well, Nebuchadnezzar had a man's heart, and then he was given a beast's heart, and then he was given a man's heart back. We learned that in Daniel 4. That is talking about Babylon. Okay? Well, then the Medo-Persians came and destroyed Babylon. Darius took over and elevated Daniel to a special status. Hopefully you've been following along. We've learned about these things in the previous chapters. So that was Babylon. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. It raised up itself on one side. It had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Medo-Persia, Darius and Cyrus. Darius the Mede, Cyrus the Persian. We're going to learn more about the Persian Empire in, like I said, the next chapter, because he's going to be given a vision. Daniel's going to be given a vision while at the palace in Shushan in Elam, which is Persian Empire. Next, after this, I beheld, and lo, another, third beast, like unto a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So this is the third kingdom, the third beast, Greece. We're going to learn about Greece as the battle between the ram and the goat in Daniel 8. The ram being the Medo-Persian and the goat being Greece. Specifically, that will relate to Antiochus Epiphanes, who is a foreshadow of the 4th beast that we're about to learn about now. 4th beast, not 5. So, continuing along in Daniel 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. 4th kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar's statue was the legs and feet of iron and miry clay. 3 have come, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece. The 4th has not. So if there's only 4, and they rise up out of the sea, and there is one described as a beast rising up out of the sea in Revelation 13, you know what the next one is going to be, the one that is about to be described in Daniel 7. Revelation 13. I'm going to read some of these verses for more context. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. We're going to learn about that in Daniel 7. But there's more information from Daniel 7 we're about to learn about also, that is also talked about in Revelation 13. Upon his horns 10 crowns, because there's 10 kings. We'll learn about that in Daniel 7. And upon his heads the name of blasphemy. The beast which I saw was like unto... Well, Daniel 7 says he's the 4th. They're all beasts. They all rise up out of the sea, and yet they're diverse from each other. One's a lion, one's a bear, one's a leopard, and one is, we haven't gotten to it yet. I'll read that in a minute, but this is what Revelation 13 is telling us. The beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. The 3 that came before in Daniel 7. And he's the 4th. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So you know in Daniel 7, the rest of the chapter that we're about to go through, who this 4th beast is, this 4th kingdom is, when he appears, and how he's going to meet his end. This is 70th week specific regarding the 4th beast, regarding the 4th kingdom. I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. His deadly head wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And then, I'm just going to keep reading because we're going to find a lot of overlap in Daniel 7. So I'll just keep reading in Revelation 13. They worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. They worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Remember that. A mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. This correlates to the abomination of desolation. Power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So you know that relates to the abomination of desolation, because when we get to Daniel 9, you're going to learn that in the midst of the week, the 70th week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. When we get to Daniel 11, you'll learn specifically what the words used to describe the abomination of desolation are. It says, the king shall do according to his will. He shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. Shall be given power to continue 42 months. And we also learn this from 2 Thessalonians 2:4 regarding the revelation of the man of perdition, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. All of these things are the same. All of these things are related. All of these things occur during the midpoint of the 70th week. So there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. He opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the earth, the world. Revelation 17 describes this also. Again, I'm going to do another video talking about some of the imagery from Daniel and Revelation and expounding a little bit more upon this. But I will introduce it here because it will become relevant. Revelation 17:8, the beast, the fourth king, the one that ascends out of the bottomless sea. Revelation 13, bottomless pit, sea, same thing. In Revelation 11, he's seen ascending out of the bottomless pit. That's the same thing as rising up out of the sea. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, rise up out of the sea. He's in the bottomless pit. Very literally, it says, and shall go into perdition. Well, he's called the son of perdition. Go about his destruction. In 2 Thessalonians 2:4, he's called the son of perdition, the revelation of the man of sin. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, and yet is. So he was, and he is not, and he will be when he ascends out of the bottomless pit. When is the bottomless pit opened? Trumpet 5, Revelation 9:1. Here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads upon which the woman sitteth are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. There are 7 kings. And this is part of what we're going to discuss in the next video that I do, explaining some of the imagery. 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other is not yet come. When he cometh, he must continue a short space. The beast that was and is not, he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And that is for the purpose of destroying Babylon, which when you go to Revelation 18 tells you is destroyed in 1 hour. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength to the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb. The Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him, pre-trib raptured folks, all the saints. The Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. They that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So now that we've gone through some of the imagery from the book of Revelation to help us understand what we're looking at, we're going to see essentially the same thing as written in Daniel. Major prophet, final book of prophecy, major amounts of overlap. Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. Revelation 13:1. Dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. It had great iron teeth. Yep, this is the overlap that we learn about. The legs and feet of iron and miry clay from Daniel 2's statue. It had great iron teeth and devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Why is it diverse? Because it has 7 heads and 10 horns with 10 crowns upon its horns. I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Okay, so you have 3 powers. The description of this powers are being described as horns. You learn this about the 10 kings being 10 horns. In Revelation 13, you learn that the false prophet, the second beast, has 2 horns, like a lamb, and speaks like a dragon. Horns are indicative of power. 2 horns, because he's the second beast, probably. Whereas the first beast is described as the little horn. The second beast has 2 horns in Revelation. And the 10 kings are 10 horns. So horns are used to indicate kings and powers. Okay, so hopefully you get that. I consider the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. So you have the 10 kings, 10 horns, and you've got this other little horn, which is the beast, the fourth beast. Dreadful, powerful, diverse from the others, strong exceeding, devoured, break in pieces, stamp the residue with the feet of it. Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, fourth beast, before whom there were 3 of the first horns, lion, leopard, bear, plucked up by the roots. So these kings that came before, who were also called horns, came and went. He is the fourth, the little horn that comes up among the 10. There is a misconception that he of the 10 horns is plucking up 3 of the 10. No, it's the lion, leopard, and bear that came before him, also called horns. He plucked them up, replaced them. He's another little horn that comes up among the 10. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Revelation 13:5. Specifically what that says. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. This is your midpoint of the week, abomination of desolation. Eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Your little horn is your fourth beast. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Because what does Daniel 11:36 describe this as? The king, the little horn, shall do according to his will. He shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. Shall be given power to continue 42 months. Because what happens at the end of that 42 months? Jesus comes back, defeats him, and throws him into the lake of fire. Revelation 19. Let's read that, because we're about to read that in Daniel also. Revelation 19:11. Because this is fun to read. We know the ending. The ending is already written, and Jesus wins. I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. He that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. He had a name written that no man knew but he himself. He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. His name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. Out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. He treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of the heaven, Come and gather yourself together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. I saw the beast, the fourth beast, the one we're talking about here, the one who opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwelt in heaven, the one who's given power to continue 42 months. This is the end of that 42 months. I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. The beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, the one who had the appearance of a lamb, but spake like a dragon with his little 2 horns. The beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, and with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Daniel 7:8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom were the were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, lion, leopard, bear. Behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. The Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the great voice, the voice of the great words which the horn spake, the little horn, the beast, the fourth kingdom, the beast rising up out of the sea. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was given to the burning flame. Revelation 19. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion. It's the stone that was cut without hands that fills the whole earth, that dashes the statue into pieces and fills the whole earth. Daniel 2. There was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Daniel was, one thing I do want to point out, just because I think it's interesting, and I hope it doesn't confuse anyone, but it says in Daniel 7:9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Think about this in terms of Ephesians 6. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So there is a prophecy in Psalm 2 that all of those high places will fall, the thrones will be cast down, and they will die like men. Psalm 82. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods, little g gods. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk in darkness. And we are children of the light of the day. We are not of the night nor in darkness. They do not know. They will not understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, little g gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, sons of God, direct creations of God. The angels are called sons of God. They're direct creations of God. Jesus was called the capital S Son of God, direct creation of God. Adam was called a son of God, direct creation of God. This is talking about the wicked, principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. I have said, ye are gods. All of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. That is what this is a reference to in Daniel 7. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Because the principalities will be brought to naught. They will be thrown down and they will die like men. Continuing along in Daniel 7. Verse 15 says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretations of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall rise out of the earth. Lion, Babylon, bear, Medo-Persia, leopard, Greece. Fourth beast, diverse, dreadful, break in pieces, devour, stamp the residue. Revelation 13's beast rising up out of the sea. That is the beast of the end times, 70th week. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Yep. Because Jesus is going to come back, put an end to all of the kingdoms that are not his, dash them to pieces, establish his own as a replacement, and we're going to share the rule and reign with him as promised. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Revelation 13. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, Revelation 17. And of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, the beast, abomination of desolation, the king who shall do according to his will, exalt himself above God, above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Midpoint of the week. So the 10 horns that were in his head, 10 kings who have as of yet not received a kingdom, but they're going to give their power to the beast for an hour for the express purpose of destroying Babylon in the last hour before Jesus returns at the second coming. Of the others which came up, like I said, lion, leopard, bear, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Well, because he's the king that shall do according to his will. He's the king of the locusts, the angel of the bottomless pit, which is why we're told he will ascend out of the bottomless pit. Why he was and is not and yet is. When they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Because he will be when they open the bottomless pit and he ascends out of it. And that is specifically marked as occurring. Well, the bottomless pit is specifically marked as occurring trumpet 5, Revelation 9. And we're told when he ascends out of it, which is trumpet 6, Revelation 11, for the express purpose of overcoming and killing the 2 witnesses, who everyone hates and no one could kill, but this guy can, which is why they say, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? Let's worship him. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Yes, power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months, and he opened his, and he, what did he do? And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. All that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until, because power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, not 5. And this is why I really want to make this clear to you guys who think that Rome factored into this at all, that this will be some kind of a revived Roman Empire. No. 4 beasts, 4 kingdoms. Beast 1, lion, Babylon. Beast 2, bear, Medo-Persia. Beast 3, leopard, Greece. Beast 4, Revelation 13. 4th kingdom. Legs of iron, feet of iron, and miry clay. There are not 5. It is a revived nothing. It is the first of its kind, which constitutes the 4th kingdom mentioned in the book of Daniel. And it is an end times 70th week specific kingdom with an end times 70th week specific king, also called the beast. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. The 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue or make humble 3 kings. I want to read this because this is interesting. This comes from the Septuagint, which is the Greek rendering of the Old Testament. When it says he shall subdue 3 kings. No, he's going to put how evil the first 3 kings, the lion, leopard, and the bear, were to shame. That's what that means. Check this out. This is from the Septuagint, from Daniel 7:24. And as for the 10 kings of the kingdom, as for the 10 horns of the kingdom, 10 kings shall arise, and another king shall arise after these. He shall excel more than the former ones in evil, and he shall humble 3 kings. He shall excel more in evil to the point where he puts how bad they were to shame. That's what that means. Not that he's going to subdue 3 of the 10 kings. is that he's going to put the badness, the evilness of the lion, the leopard, and the bear to shame, sheerly based on how evil this guy is. So I like how the Septuagint renders this. I'll read that again. As for the 10 horns of the kingdom, 10 kings shall arise, another king shall arise. After these he shall excel more than the former ones in evil, and he shall humble 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, shall wear down the holy ones of the Most High, and shall expect to change seasons and laws, and everything shall be delivered into his hand for a time, times, and until half a time. This tells you that it's a midpoint of the 70th week thing to the end of the 70th week. He shall be given power to continue 40 and 2 months. In the midst of the week, he shall cause a sacrifice, the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate, the judgment of the desolator, his body given to the burning flame. Daniel 7:25. So from the point of the abomination of desolation to the end of the week, there's 42 months, a time times half a time, or 1,260 days. This is precisely how the book of Daniel ends. In Daniel 12, it says the same thing. In Daniel 12:6, and one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river. He held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, swear by him that liveth forever and ever, that it shall be for a time, times, and then half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. He shall speak great words against the Most High, shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of times. 1,260 days, 42 months. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. So that is Daniel 7. You're mingling the seed with all mankind as in the days of Noah. That doesn't have anything to do with what is going on now. The fourth beast, the fourth kingdom, the legs and feet of iron mixed with iron and miry clay, have nothing to do with anything that is going on right now. And what we see going on right now isn't even on the scale of what anything that we could comprehend what will be going on later. We can guess what it means, but we will not be around. The beast rising up out of the sea, ascending out of the bottomless pit, is literally a second half of the 70th week situation. We will not be here. I will discuss this more as we continue through the book of Daniel. But again, I will read through the Septuagint what this has to say. And it says, this fourth kingdom, fourth beast, he shall excel more than the former ones in evil, and shall put the 3 that came before to shame. It will be on a level that we cannot even comprehend. And thank God for the grace of God that we will not be here to witness the evilness that will be encompassing the whole earth, and that no one save Jesus Christ himself will have the power to overcome. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or feedback, let me know. I appreciate your time, and I will see you later. Hi, Jamie. Nice to see you.